No, I get y'all point, and Legs, I get your point. The only problem I have with it is that Kevin Durant is 34 years of age. So that, like, if it was a 27, 28 Kevin Durant, then you could ask for really, you know what I mean, that guy that you were talking about. But I think in DeAndre Ayton, I think we have yet to see the best of him. We have to remember, DeAndre Ayton was the #1 pick. You know what I mean? Cam Johnson did go on a lot. I'm not saying that it's done. I'm saying, but if they were to acquire those type of pieces, I think along with you know, a Ben Simmons, because they're probably going to keep him, that is a nice foundation.
Would you put Simmons in, or Ayton and Simmons? How do you see that fit together?
Simmons, Ayton, Simmons, and Zion. I was just picturing Simmons and Zion running dribble handoffs in the paint,
Well, I mean, that
6 feet away
that
from the
you
rim.
can picture.
No, but the thing is the pace with Zion, and I think that's what Zach's saying. I can see that. That's kind of electrifying to think about Ben Simmons handling the ball, Zion running. The risk there is, you know, I know Zion looks great right now in these tapes, but man, is that a big risk if that's going to be your blue chip guy based on his injury history.
I'm going to ask this question, and I know what's going to happen.
Oh, good.
I know what's going to happen. What about AD?
I think that's a fair question.
Well, I know. I say.
Well, you've been tweeting about this all morning.
I've been tweeting about it. I've been tweeting about it because look, the Nets. You know, look, I'm a little connected to them, so I did a little market research, and I was like, at Bucks, is Giannis available?
Oh, come on, man.
I was like, at Dallas, is Luka available? Asked Lakers. It's like,
oh my God.
I said, you know, I asked
no?
about King James, like who, you know, look, LeBron's old, no one cares about him. And then like Warriors, is Steph available? Just asking for a friend. I'm just putting these like soft feelers out there.
Yeah, soft feelers.
That last one's interesting.
Oh, Celtics is Tatum.
NBA Finals.
The last one's interesting if you switch the name to Jaylen Brown. That can
I don't know if you want to go to the Celtics.
I'm not going to
the
say
Nets need to stop building the Celtics franchise.
I'm just saying. If I'm the Celtics, if you're the Celtics, don't you have to have a meeting about like pairing Kevin Durant and Jason Tatum, no matter what it costs?
You also have to have a meeting with pairing Jaylen Brown and Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you're like, hey, you can go, but this is the thing. The reason why I don't think you would do it for Jason Tatum is 24 years old. Kevin Durant is 34 years old. The window for that is another 12 years for Jason Tatum to be in his ideal prime.
Talking about the Celtics, a city that wants to win now. And if they think that a Kevin
They ain't
Durant,
won since 2008,
but I'm
bro.
just talking about, but they still.
You know, I don't look at myself as a savior.
Durant looking for the dagger.
But I know what I can do.
You know who I am. Y'all know who I am. You know, I'm Kevin Durant.
Yes! Kevin Durant!
I just want to keep going up. You should have hated a little more, because really it ain't good enough.
Welcome back to the NBA Today free agency special. So now that Kevin Durant has requested a trade, as Woj is reporting, the question is, to where, right? And Woj is reporting also that Phoenix is a potential destination that we could see him go to. It's on his list, at least. Brian, what do you think of that?
From what I hear, it's at the top of his list, Malika. It's been something he's been thinking about for the last few days. And one of the reasons why he made this trade request now, a couple of hours before free agency, was so he could potentially take advantage of a DeAndre Ayton situation. Ayton could be a sign-and-trade piece, either to acquire assets to use to send to Brooklyn or to trade to Brooklyn straight away as part of a Kevin Durant trade package. There's something else that I want to point out about the Suns. As we talk about other pieces and parts we could put in here, the Suns own all of their draft picks going forward. That means even as you weigh what the Suns can offer, remember, they can trade up to 4 first-round picks and up to 3 pick swaps. They have the opportunity to give the Nets control of their draft. There are other teams that don't have that, and considering the Brooklyn Nets themselves don't control their own draft for the next 4 years, that's something to consider when you think about what the Suns offer potentially for Kevin Durant could be.
Okay, Brian Windhorst, thank you. Don't go anywhere. Bobby Marks, our front office insider. The question I'm going to ask you a million times over the next, until we hear where Kevin Durant is going, make it work for me in the trade machine.
Well, when we look at Phoenix right now, I mean, if I'm in Brooklyn, I'm looking for Devin Booker. That's the player that I want. Let's go all-star for all-star here. And with Booker, if we remove Book, let's say Phoenix says, you know what, he's not part of it. I don't want, no offense to DeAndre Ayton, he's a good player. I just signed Nick Claxton. Woj just reported 2 years, $20 million.
Yep.
He's my center going forward. I'm not paying a center $32 million. So now, Malik, it's going to be hard to make the money work. $44 million, you got to get within about $36 million. I'm taking all their role players. defensive, all defense, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, and I want a player like Cam Johnson and draft picks here. That's how I'm looking at it. The Ayton piece is challenging because they signed Nick Claxton, Brooklyn signed Patty Mills, sign and trades triggers the hard cap. So unless you figure out something with Kyrie Irving, they are not going to be able to acquire a player like Ayton. So if I'm Brooklyn and if it's Phoenix that we're targeting, it certainly starts with Booker, but after that, it's going to be Mikal Bridges and a package of players.
Okay, so Richard, since you're Captain Phoenix, deal or no deal?
If you're Phoenix, yes, right? To me, I think Kevin Durant and Booker and Chris Paul, 1, 2, 3, and it's just like this. Whenever you get a big three, you got to figure it out after, right? You got to figure it out. And so I think you do. You got to give up your depth. You look at it for the Boston Celtics when they got, when they got Ray Allen and KG and Paul Pierce, they gave up a ton of depth. The Lakers gave up a ton of depth to go get AD and to also go get Russell Westbrook.
Perk?
I just don't understand why people undervalue or don't value DeAndre Ayton like that. He was the #1 pick. He was the #1 pick, and I believe that he is a 20-10 guy in this league, and I think he could be that for a very, very long time. The deal that the Brooklyn Nets signed Claxton to, I mean, that's not a lot of money in today's game, right? The way that guys are, and you actually could play them together, in my opinion. So, I mean, if you could find a way to land DeAndre Ayton and some other pieces along with some picks, I'm doing the deal in a heartbeat.
Okay, so that's one proposal. But Brian Windhorst, bringing you back here, somewhere else that Kevin Durant said that he'd be interested in going is the Miami Heat. What do you think?
Yeah, so the Miami Heat have been preparing for this for several days. They have, Andy Ellisberg, their general manager, is the leader in thought processes for trades. He has been for decades now. And so what the Miami Heat have is young players, young assets, and big contracts that they can trade. Now, Bobby, I'm sure, is going to explain this in a second, but one sticking point in any trade between Brooklyn and Miami is that Bam Adebayo can't be in the deal, which is I'll let Bobby explain as to why. And that is problematic, and that's why I think the Heat, even though they can generate up to 3 first-round draft picks, may be, fighting if it comes down to Miami and Phoenix because of the they can't include Adebayo.
For our audience, Bobby, why can't they include Bam Adebayo?
Yeah, so Brooklyn has Ben Simmons on their roster. They acquired him in the James Harden trade. He was signed to the designated rookie extension with the 76ers. Bam Adebayo was also signed with a designated rookie extension with the Heat. You're allowed to have 2 players on your roster. However, they cannot be 2 players that were acquired in a trade. So Brooklyn can go out and get Adebayo, but then you're going to have to move Simmons to another team, or maybe Bam goes to another team and Brooklyn gets more. So when you look at it and you remove him from the equation, I don't see Jimmy Butler part of it, especially if Brooklyn is going to be rebuilding and with young players. Certainly not Kyle Lowry. I'd like Tyler Hero, but here's the problem again. How do you get the $38 million when you're taking out all these main contracts?
So deal or no deal, Tim Legler?
I don't like it. I don't like the assets you're getting back there. I really don't. And you're talking about, look, so it sounds like Bam will be out of the question unless you move Simmons. Even if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Bam Adebayo's ceiling high enough offensively to think that that's the piece you get back as the cornerstone piece in a deal for Kevin Durant? No chance. Tyler Hero, great year, 6th man of the year, right? But Tyler Hero struggled in the postseason. And he got hurt later in the postseason, but even before that, he was not the same player that he was in the regular season. So these are all fresh in your mind as you go now into the summer. When you start talking about those kinds of pieces, to me, not close to enough. And as far as Phoenix is concerned, I agree with what Bobby's saying. It's Devin Booker, if I'm Sean Marks, that's just not enough. DeAndre Ayton and some of those role players, that's not enough for me. Yeah.